Hi, welcome to the pod with
Heidi.
and Ban. Thanks for taking a seat with us today.
This is a safe space for you to join in on our real-life, everyday conversations, where we often find ourselves discussing women in sport, Paralympic sport, and sitting volleyball.
All right.
Welcome, everyone.
We're here.
Once again with the technicals and the things, but
we made it. And hopefully
we got about 17,000 tripods in front of us, and
the lights are up. The sun is shining.
yeah, beautiful.
All right. Fit check. First up.
You.
Me? Okay.
It's funnier if I go second because it's like underwhelming.
Fair. All right. So the t-shirt today is Let's Make the Paralympics a Household Name. And it is a shirt that was made by yours truly before the Tokyo Paralympics. Essentially, as I'm sure you know if you're listening to this, it is called the Paralympics. We get asked about We get asked about the Olympics, the other Olympics, the Para-Olympics. No, it is just the Paralympics. And so before those games, I made these t-shirts for everyone, staff, athletes, so we could wear it, hopefully have it on TV and show people what the word is. Essentially, it helped us get broadcasting. That's why I kind of chuckled at the TV comment because our games weren't going to be broadcasted. And with the help of CPC, CBC, and I think these shirts on social media, we were able to get all of our games broadcasted. So thank you, Devin. Thank you, CPC.
Devin works for CBC.
And yeah, that's the shirt I'm wearing. It does fit the topic of the day. It is called the Paralympics. Heidi, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing not that. I'm wearing a shirt that says bigger is better. Couldn't tell you where this came from. Couldn't tell you anything about it. I thrifted it in Canmore. I wear it a lot. And I'm wearing a hat that says girls because duh.
Girls, girls, girls.
Girls, girls, girls.
It was just International Women's Day.
Yep.
Holler.
That's really it. And I am wearing shorts. I mean, it might, who knows on the camera angles, but
Heidi is
bike shorts.
Always
it's like
warm. It is kind of
10
warm
degrees
in here.
outside.
It is.
Which is
Warm for us in March.
I couldn't even guess what that is in Fahrenheit, but 50?
Not a hot clue. Not a hot clue over here.
I was like, your eyes just kind of glazed over.
Fair and what?
Fahrenheit.
So nothing to do with
Yeah. No, nothing to
topic,
do with
just
it. I mean, bigger
likes
is
the
better. Like, the more broadcasting, the better. Like, the bigger the games, the better.
Exactly. The more you know about the Paralympics, the better. Biggest games, biggest stage in the world.
Yeah.
We're ready. Give us 6 months and we'll be ready.
I was like, I'm not quite
We're
ready.
almost there. All right. I love it. Love
Okay.
to see it.
New segment.
New segment.
I made this segment up. It just came to me, and not 100% sure about the name, but it's basically just quiz time. And I thought, why not just like quiz each other on the topic that we're talking about? That's fun.
Yeah.
And the working title is, what is it? Quiz time?
You added time.
What did you said it earlier?
Quiz.
No, I think it's quiz time.
It's a quiz with Heidi P and Banny T. I don't know what I said.
Quiz time.
Quiz o'clock.
Quiz o'clock.
Not that one.
Okay.
But today,
so we each made a couple questions for each other.
backtrack. Today, we are talking about
And we already said that?
parasports and the Paralympics.
Correct.
I think I just talked about my t-shirt. I don't think we clearly outlined. So our quiz questions will all have to do with that. We want you to join our conversation. We are always sitting down and coming with an open mind, but we don't research the topics a lot.
Correct.
So we're now quizzing each other,
Yeah.
which we really don't know what the questions are, what the answers are. We'll probably be humbled, and we ask you to do the same. Answer them along if you know them, and if not, hopefully you're learning as we have a chat.
And that goes for pretty much the structure of the episode and also
Definitely.
for quiz time. Yeah.
Definitely.
We loosely plan this because we have really strong opinions on topics we want to talk about, but not...
But
We
don't
didn't, like,
always
plan
actually
a full
have,
script.
Yeah, I would say we have opinions, but
Yep.
now we're actually looking up definitions,
Yep.
trying to educate ourselves as well as you learn along with us.
Join us.
Who's going first? We have 3 questions each.
Okay, close your eyes.
Close my eyes.
Where are my questions?
I won't look. I told you. Mine are right here.
I don't actually even know the answer to this question.
Okay.
Well, kind of. Okay, what is the Paralympic symbol called?
You know the answer.
I don't know. I actually know how to say it correctly.
Agitos.
Is that right?
Well, I looked it up, and that's what Google told me. What
I
is the
know-
Paralympic symbol?
I know that. I used to call it agitos,
Agitos.
and I know that's wrong.
Agatos. Agito. What language is it from?
Latin.
Latin. Does anyone know how to help us out? Or know how to say
I'm
it?
going to say
you
final answer agitos.
Agitos.
Are you telling me you're asking me?
I looked it up and I pressed play on Google and that's what it said. But I mean, we don't know. But it's spelled Agitos. And now my question back at you is, how many symbols were in the original Agitos? Or however you say that word. How many symbols did the original Paralympic
I understand the question.
logo, symbol, if you will, have?
Not an educated guess, but I'm going to say 5.
That was correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
And now how many does it have?
3.
3. Want to know why?
We're just going to go back and forth. The part B to my question
Okay.
was, and what do they mean? We'll put a little
I think
symbol right here.
the
of
colors are green, blue, and red. And they are the most represented in the flags of the nations that participate at the Paralympics.
Correct.
And they represent awesomeness. I don't know.
Not the answer I was looking for.
They represent things. What do they represent?
It's going to be funny if I'm wrong, but I think that agitos means to move.
Yeah.
And it's the way the symbol is designed is like
Movement.
all the countries like encircling into like a central point or coming together.
Okay.
Question mark.
I have a definition written down in our notes for today.
But you
so
are correct
maybe
about the flags. That's correct.
Yes. Boom.
Yeah.
Also there was 5 originally, and then they went down to 3 to separate from the Olympic rings. So the 5 colors were the same as the Olympic rings colors,
What are
but
the
they
other
wanted to
colors?
look different.
Yellow and black.
Yeah. We'll put them on the screen, but they were a little bit like more squiggly and big before. And now
Interesting.
they're like long and skinny. We'll put the 2 logos. They've actually changed 4 times.
You did a lot of research.
I'm very visual, everyone, so I saw the photos. I didn't do a lot of research, but I did see the photos.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know whose turn it is. We've asked each other 1.5 or 2 questions.
Well, my second question was about the colors, so
Crushed it.
you go.
Okay. What were the original games that eventually became the Paralympic Games called? I have a hint if Heidi needs a hint.
Okay, so the first Paralympics were in 1960, I believe.
Oh, baby, you got it.
In question mark, couldn't tell you where.
You can do it.
Where I was?
You can
Tokyo.
guess. No.
Athens,
We're going to interview an athlete from this country soon.
Germany,
No.
Italy,
Okay, yeah.
Rome.
Yeah, Rome.
Okay.
Rome, Italy, 1960. That's impressive. But what were the games before that?
The name of them?
They were in 1952.
The Disabled Games.
Okay, hint.
Okay.
We have been there before, and it was
It's
a
the name of a
super
place.
creepy place. She's gonna know. Sorry to anyone
It's
who's ever been
called
there, but it's
The Stoke Mandeville Games.
yeah.
That's what's the name?
Yeah, it was called the Stoke Mandeville Games, and Dutch ex-servicemen participated. Later became the Paralympic Games, and we had been there. Side story.
Yep.
For a tournament, and we stayed in the like old school hospital,
The
like in
original.
hospital beds. We should find some OG pictures. That creepy,
Like
lights
genuinely
flickering.
though, like leftover like hospital equipment, just like in the like shower room.
What other
there was a
teams were
shower
there?
room. with,
Who
like,
was there? We need help. Like ring in, phone
It was like
us. Let's
us in Great
chat.
Britain only for the women, and then
Oh,
it was
was
like
it?
our men,
Us.
their
Oh,
men,
okay.
and like Latvia men.
Not that many teams, but whew, that was an experience. You got it right. Good job.
Yeah. Okay.
One more for me.
'Kay.
I don't know if I have any more questions. We crushed them all.
Okay.
I'll make
Well,
one up.
I answered my own last
Yeah.
question, so okay. Actually, not. What? Yeah. Okay. Am I going or are you going?
You.
I'll go. Okay. What year was sitting volleyball first in the Paralympics?
Great question.
It's kind of a trick question.
It
Because
is.
there's 2 answers.
Well, the women and the men were
Correct.
at different
Yeah.
years, but I'm thinking of the men.
It's also a trick question.
1990 something?
Close.
Okay, 1998. 4.
Do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
80.
That's not close.
10 years. 10 years off.
1980?
Yeah. So it also was sitting volleyball.
And standing.
Okay, well, first of all, the sport was called sitsball and volleyball combined. I don't even know what sitsball is. That's a Dutch word.
Okay.
So sitting volleyball and standing para were both in the Paralympics for a period
that's why
of
I was
years.
confused. They overlapped.
So sitting men were there since 1980. When were the women?
Yeah, when did the women start? I don't have a clue.
2004,
Okay.
which was Athens.
I've once upon a time knew these answers because they've been in trivia we've done with our team, but
That's a long time difference.
that is. So 1980, there were many, many games. 24 years worth of games.
And I believe standing para men, like I believe Sydney was their last games, or Athens. I don't know.
I think Sydney, because our men won.
Okay.
Maybe.
So then so in 2004, if the women started, then also that was the first year maybe that there was no standing para, question mark.
We will let you
look it
know.
up, yeah.
Someday. We're going to move on because we're getting long with this segment.
Okay, I have one actually good question.
Oh my gosh.
Name a Paralympic sport that doesn't have an Olympic counterpart.
I thought that you were going to ask me list the Paralympic sports, like something that put me really on the spot. Okay.
That is
a
this
Paralympic
question.
sport that doesn't have an Olympic counterpart.
Correct.
Great question. Is there a para judo? Like, is there judo as well? Mm-hmm. Okay. Goal ball.
Correct.
Boom. Of course not. Goal ball. Shout out. Holler.
The only other current team qualified, so para team.
Good luck though to wheelchair rugby, who is competing right now. This episode won't come out for another
Today in real life.
Yeah, in real life, and competing next week.
Yep.
So good luck.
Yep.
Go Canada. Hoping
Go
to be
Canada.
the third team to qualify.
Yep. Okay. I like quiz time.
I did not do very well. Quiz me about the sport of sitting volleyball and my tactics. I got you, but about the timelines, I don't got you. I'm not great with numbers. Fun fact. Okay, moving on to the topic of the day. Well, there's multiple topics, but we actually do have some questions and some definitions written down for today because we want to make sure that we're doing it properly. We're giving justice to. That's maybe not the right word.
Credit you.
Yeah. Well, no. We're
doing right by.
Edit all this out.
We told them to join us in
We
our
are
real life, everyday conversations.
Making sure that we have proper definitions.
Yep.
So that we can give you correct information and then have a conversation around it.
Yep.
So that is why we are pulling out our computers, iPads, and making sure we get this one right. So the first topic.
We wanted to talk about what is parasport. So did you know that parasport is 2 words?
Yes. But I didn't know that a few years ago, or when I was doing my master's degree. I believe in a lot of research I read, it was together. Parasport or parasports, all as one.
Or hyphenated?
Or hyphenated, and not always capitalized. So based on the IPC website, it should be capitalized, P-A-R-A space S-P-O-R-T-S.
Lowercase sports.
Lowercase, yeah. So what is the definition?
Read it out.
Parasport is defined to mean any sport in which athletes with a disability participate and whereby the International Federation has been recognized by the IPC due to meeting several criteria, including compliance with the IPC Athlete Classification Code. So to add to that, the IPC is the International Paralympic Committee. So that's a lot of jargon, but essentially what it's saying is the IPC recognizes specific parasport to be considered sport for people with a disability. And that means that there are other sports probably that are accessible and inclusive that exist, but would be not identified as parasport, which I've never really thought about before.
Right.
Because the IPC, whereby, big words.
So there are parasports that aren't Paralympic sports.
Exactly.
But there are sports for people with disabilities maybe that aren't quote unquote recognized
as a parasport.
Parasports.
Because it does say that it needs to be in compliance with the IPC. So a parasport is recognized by the IPC. But to be a Paralympic sport, especially each games, those can change. And the host country, the LOC, everybody has a say in that.
Okay, so just total hypothetical. If we like made up a sport like Sitting basketball.
We were talking about that.
Sitting soccer.
Yeah.
We could say that we created a sport
But it's not
for
a
people with
parasport.
disabilities, and that's not a parasport because it's not recognized.
Yeah.
Whereby.
And we would have zero classification because
Right.
we do not have the ability to classify.
Once again, classification is the hinge for it to be officially designated a parasport for people with disabilities and impairments. Interesting.
Exactly. So that was fun.
Yeah, that's I think it's fun.
But the difference between parasport and Paralympics are that those sports would be identified, because I don't actually even know at the Paris Paralympics how many sports will be included. I believe there's more than what was in Tokyo.
Should I Google it?
I think you should Google it. But I'm also, because I'm thinking of more of like winter, but para ice hockey would be on the women's side a parasport because there's teams, but they do not participate in the Paralympic Winter Games. Did you also know that the Paralympic Games means summer and Paralympic Winter Games means winter?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's on the IPC
Then why do we
website.
say summer games?
I don't know that part, but it's like coined their term is that if you just say Paralympic Games, it means summer. You can still call it summer games, but if
you don't say Olympic Summer Games, you say Olympic Games.
And I don't know if it's like that on the Olympic
Winter
side.
Games?
I do know it's called Paralympic Winter Games, and there's only 6 sports.
Rude.
Yeah, very, very small games.
Disabilities in winter is stressful. Hard. Ice, snow.
But
slipping.
awesome.
True.
I think it'd be so fun.
What?
Grip and rip down that mountain. Whee!
Sounds scary.
That's a retirement plan. I will take you snowboarding.
A retirement plan?
Yeah, not now. Tobogganing.
Okay.
Does anybody out there know what tobogganing is?
If anyone wants to create a whole new slew of parasports.
Tobogganing. That's a Canadian word. A toboggan?
Toboggan.
Do you even know what a toboggan is?
You wear a toque when you go tobogganing?
Yeah. Wearing my toque on my toboggan.
Okay.
That was not a Canadian accent.
Well, in this sentence, quote unquote, France will be hosting its first ever Summer Paralympic Games.
There we go. Good.
In 2024, the program will include 22 sports. Okay.
549 events.
Yep.
And then the dates. Okay. It does not tell us if there's more or less than Tokyo. So we're not sure about that.
Also says 22 sports.
Same. We're staying status quo.
Sports?
We got to grow. We got to grow the games.
Yeah.
25 in LA, please. I'm making that number up.
I mean, shout out to Beach Paravolley was unfortunately shut down for the
They were trying.
for the LA games, but gaining traction, but hopefully Brisbane.
Okay. On to let's make the Paralympics a household name. What are the Paralympics? Heidi? Definition, please.
Okay, here we go. Quote. Did you get this from the IPC?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The word Paralympic derives from the Greek preposition para, beside or alongside. And the word Olympic, its meaning is that the Paralympics are the parallel to the Olympics and illustrates how the two movements exist side by side. I love that.
Parallel.
It's my number one point when teaching people about the Paralympics.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and this is even on the website, is that paraplegic is what people think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they think of wheelchair sports, but the Paralympics are actually much more inclusive than that. And Paralympics are spelled Paralympics. At no time was there an O included in that.
Or a hyphen.
Or a hyphen. Or a the other Olympics.
Correct.
Paralympics. Say it loud and proud. And we are hoping that that is something that comes in the future. People know the name. People say the name. Obviously, you're very proud to be a Paralympian.
Very.
And that's something, obviously, the language that you use regularly. So.
And it's very interesting because, like, disability is different for everybody individually, but also different, like, in different places of the world. And I'm curious about everybody's experience with the world and, like, feeling proud to call themselves a Paralympian. Like, the Paralympics have existed for a long time, but has
I agree.
that always held weight? I would assume no. And such as us only being paid now for this is our first games for paid medals in Canada. There's been so much growth. Like, what was it like being a Paralympian in 1975?
Yeah. In
like
2004.
Yeah.
When women's sitting volleyball started.
Yeah.
I also am curious about the word Paralympian and how it translates to other languages.
Yep.
We're going to ask the guests that we have on from other countries do you have a word for Paralympian
Right.
and Paralympics? Because
Yeah.
I know in some countries they don't. And a lot of people that we talk to that speak English as a second language will still use Olympics, or they'll have the rings or be using different symbols. So I'm curious about that and how that para movement and the Paralympic movement has changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. I just want everybody to be proud of it. And people who are para athletes to understand and resonate with the weight behind that word. And I just want everyday people to use the right word. I just want, even now when people say it, they're like
Unsure.
and like,
Think it's less than.
if they are still saying, oh yeah, the Paralympics, that like tone and that like demeanor behind the way that they're saying it still holds like, oh, you think it's a little bit less. Oh yeah, you're right. It's just as good as. Like, they're saying what I want them to say, but I can tell that people don't think that or know that or believe that. And it's just very interesting to think about how people view disability, view parasport, view the Paralympic community, view that. And once again, we're like often comparing ourselves to the Olympics because
or
that's
to,
just the
yeah,
nature of like to
those versions of the sport.
Yeah. But it's important to understand it in relation to, but understand it as its own identity.
Exactly. And I think that's something that my eyes have really been open to, and we've talked about it, and we talked about it on the first episode.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud to coach Paralympic athletes, to coach parasport athletes, because not all athletes on our team are Paralympians yet. But it's something that has changed my life forever. It's a different version of volleyball, and it's an exciting version of volleyball. And it allows me to coach athletes that have shown me what is possible through sport. It's life-changing, it's eye-opening, and it's really exciting. I believe that with support and with the media getting behind Paralympic sport, change is coming. It has been coming, it has existed, but it's truly coming when the world gets to see how incredible Paralympic athletes are. People will get on board. I can't wait. Okay, Heidi, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay. I trust you.
We're talking about Paralympics. We're talking about being a Paralympian. Why is that so important to you? What does being a Paralympian mean to you? You've been to 2 games. Huh?
This is the question I should have prepared.
Yeah, but what does it mean? What does being a Paralympian mean to Heidi Peters?
That's such a good question. It's so funny because the meaning has changed so much for me. Changed from acquiring the title of being a Paralympian, changed in how I've seen the Paralympics and the para movement and my own experience through my time as a Paralympian and then as a 2-time Paralympian and now 3-time hopeful. And I just think one of the most special things about the Paralympics is the relation to an experience with resilience. And that's kind of a theme that I think all para athletes and people with disabilities and people with impairments have. There's a special level of resilience in that we've all had to overcome something different and something potentially traumatic and likely life altering, whether from birth or whether acquired, but something that quote unquote makes us different. I don't love that word, but something that sets us apart from, I guess, the standard. And we've had to overcome something hard and then still chosen to pursue high level sport at the world stage. And I think that's a really hard thing to do, to be confident and comfortable in your own skin when you're when you're uncomfortable in your own skin, right? To have an uncomfortable situation and to push your body that's uncomfortable in a disabled body. And I think to push that at the highest level is really cool. And being a Paralympian to me is just, I don't know, like growing all the time and changing. Like it's like the ceiling's always growing. I don't know if other people feel that way, but what does being a Paralympian mean to me? It means that I can do anything. It means that there is no roof. There is no ceilings. We talk about breaking glass ceilings. Like every day I train or every tournament I go to, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what I'm capable of. And that is really, really cool for myself and in a sport lens, in my experience with volleyball and my experience as an athlete, to feel that kind of growth and feel how high I can push my game and how high we can, as a team, can push the sport and grow. But I think it's really inspiring for people to see that we choose to do that. And I say often, like, it's really just for that one kid, one little girl who watches and sees us on TV and is like, I want to do that, or I can do that, who like has a disability and had no representation. Like, that would have changed my life as a child, to be able to see that on TV. And so being a Paralympian means a lot for me personally, but it also means a lot for everybody. So that's a nice long-winded answer. What else is new? But I don't have a concise answer. It kind of changes all the time.
I think the biggest thing I heard, and obviously I know your journey as a Paralympian, but was growth and about the glass ceiling. The possibilities are endless, and you are continuing to prove that as an athlete and as a human. And you wake up every single day and you choose to be excellent, and you choose to continue to strive toward that. And you might have a bad leg day and you might have a hard day, but you get up and you know that there's something you're striving toward, and you're continuing to grow and to learn and to be better for not only yourself, but for your teammates and for those people around you. Is it easy? No, but it's possible. And it's incredible to see. It's incredible to push you. It's incredible to walk alongside you through this journey. And you challenge me as an athlete, right? Like, how to be better and how to continue to grow amongst our team, and how I can support you. But that's something that really stood out to me listening to you, but also witnessing you, because now we'll go back, but you've been to 2 games. We're going to go to a 3rd games. And what was that journey like? Right? Where were you then and where are you now? And you said you're just scratching the surface. That's so true. Every single event that you show up to, we're getting better. Our team is growing. But why are the Paralympics different? Right? What sets those big games apart? I think the size, right? The sheer size of it, you don't know that feeling inside the village until you're there. Yeah. We can't even explain it to our families.
Going to, different than a World Cup, different than a World Championships, different than any other tournament. Like you said, the size of it.
And the multi-sport aspect. Like the different disabilities in a Paralympic village, and just like watching people, and then they come back with a medal after they've just won an event, and you see that and you feel that,
cheering even and singing if they're in the dining hall.
You're like, this is real life.
And even different than a Pan Am Games, like
different,
that, because having the word like Paralympics like around you, like having that incredible. Like level, I mean, just to speak to the village a little bit, we might have talked about it already on a previous episode, but it's such like a special little world that's like created for disability to be the norm. There are ramps everywhere, elevators. There are, I don't know the official word, but guides like on the road and on the sidewalks for visually impaired people who walk with, I don't know if cane, like walking. Feeling poles, I don't know the right word, but I genuinely don't know the right word, but to guide them around the village.
I don't know.
Google,
we need you.
And it's like stepping into an alternate universe. Like, it's so beautiful. And me personally, I just like love policy and love legislation. And like love that. I'm like, this is what the world could be. Like, this is what
built for every single
bylaw for accessibility.
Right. Like, a Paralympic village is built with accessibility in mind. Of course, every games can be better, and there's been some mishaps if you followed media. But I know it wasn't a Paralympics, but in Lima, Peru, at the Pan Am Games, that was the first like fully accessible buildings that were built in the country.
Yeah, huge.
And I remember hearing that and being like, wow, this can change a nation. And no, maybe it hasn't changed all the buildings, because in older countries that's harder. Yep. But imagine if when people were building new buildings in countries or opening businesses, they built it with accessibility in mind. Yep. So everyone could be there. Everyone could gain access. That doesn't happen enough. And we see it in spaces that we go to. And we're like the first to point it out. Let's go to our next question. So let's go to Rio. And talk about that a bit. So, because I'm thinking of size of the stage, the experiences. Okay, so Rio. Let's go to breaking down the games. Rio 2016. How was that experience? Talk about the sheer size of that.
Such a noob. Had no idea. Like, what were we even doing? We're like, we qualified for the Paralympics. Like, what does that even mean? 7th. We don't know.
I think we went in 7th, came out 7th. I don't know.
I don't know. Went in 9th, came out 7th? Like,
oh yeah. What?
Well, we placed 7th in Rio, but I don't know what
our world ranking was lower than that for sure.
I was like,
For sure.
12, like
11th, like
I remember just being pumped. You got the kit, big deal.
Yeah, the clothing.
Paralympics. I'm going to the Paralympics. Like, everybody's family's coming. We're going to Brazil. That's cool. That's far away. Like, right? So, I mean, I have a terrible memory, but getting there, my biggest memory is the opening ceremonies and walking into the opening ceremonies.
Life changing.
We were in like in a soccer stadium, and I don't even know. I bet it held like almost 100,000 people in that stadium. Like,
I don't know
if that's
because
even possible.
They were Brazilian, so there could be 10,000, and you'd think there was 100,000.
Well, I think there were 10,000 at our game.
Yeah, I know, 8 to 10,000 at each of our games.
So I
but
think
that's what
the
I mean.
opening ceremonies was like
no,
tens
it was.
and tens and
but
tens
I'm saying
and
they're so loud that it would have felt
for
like
sure.
it. So with 100,000, it probably felt like a million.
And like,
I walked in behind you.
Yeah, good photos. Thank you.
Nailed the photo game.
But I remember being in the tunnel and like, just like the sound, like just like the rumbling and the sound, and then afterwards like checking my phone and everyone's like, we just like saw you on TV, like just like the coolest.
We're just like
thing.
waving, not
just
sure where we're supposed to
the
look.
Flag, just having the best time, having no idea what we're doing. And somehow like where we ended up, we were also like found our families. What are the chances we could like find them in the stands?
Right?
Of, like that.
They had a flag though, a Canada flag.
Yeah, that was kind of like a forever imprinted moment of like the size of the games and everybody like being there together as Team Canada. Like, yes, we had been to the Toronto games and
not the same
Parapan games and semi experienced that on a smaller scale. But when you do it on the global world stage, it's bigger, and there's something special about being Team Canada, not just being your sport, but being Team Canada with all the other sports. And that's a really special thing. And I mean the outfits, right? Like the opening ceremony.
We looked like penguins. Red penguin suits.
What did we wear? Oh yeah.
No.
Was it raining after?
It was pouring after, so then the ponchos went on. We got lost from the group.
Okay, that was when we wore the white. Oh my gosh, we had to go over that like bridge.
Yep,
like that white long sleeve, and the seats on the bus were yellow. Yeah. And I took my jacket off, and then I
left
sat
an imprint.
And I left an imprint of the maple leaf on my back because I was sweating so much. I have a photo of it. Maybe I'll put it on.
It's amazing. And I remember, we got lost, and then we were taking the bus back. I think we were separated from the team, and I was just writing an Instagram post.
It's probably like the least accessible part.
About, for sure. Like, but about my life literally changing. Like the way that the language that was used and the way celebrating accessibility and inclusive games and disability for me was like, wow. I remember just being in awe, and the lights and like just the way that it was celebrated, and then leaving and pure chaos, rain. Like, I think that moment really changed my life, but I was like so in. I was like, this is so parallel. That's what the definition is. This is so equal to, and maybe even greater than. It was definitely greater than anything I'd ever experienced in sport before. But other Rio,
I mean, you said it changed.
Go.
You said it changed your life. That's a big sentence.
Yeah,
but
it did.
Do you remember how you felt like going there? Your like thoughts around like qualifying and going?
Yeah, so we qualified at Toronto at the Parapan Games in 2015, and I remember that was my first experience at a games. Head coaching for sure, but at a games. And I remember the cafeteria was the biggest surprise to me, and watching people in wheelchairs, on crutches, amputees just navigate that space, blind athletes, visually impaired, if that's the correct language, my apologies, navigate the space. And it was just like flowing and working. So that to me was eye-opening. And then we qualify, and now we're going to the bigger games, and there were so many things that needed to be planned in the lead up to that, and my job was very part-time then. So I was juggling like so much, and I was so proud to represent Canada, but I don't think I knew what it meant yet. And I remember Zika was a thing, so we were really distracted with that. The Olympic Games were absolute gong show, for lack of a better term.
They ran out of money. They're like, the Paralympics aren't going to happen.
So the Paralympics might not happen. There was like bad food, like everything was messy, and so it was like, are we going? Are we not? What's happening? Obviously, the games did happen.
Sidebar, best part about the Olympics going first is the kinks are worked.
Yeah, they can figure it out for us, and then we get there, and actually everything seemed to be going very smoothly, but we didn't know what the quality of the games should have been. So there wasn't that pressure that we feel now, right? We've been there, we've done it before. There was everything was new, so it was exciting. And one of my biggest experiences or greatest experiences in Rio was that first match. We played Brazil. We played the host country who we had never even really competed with in a game. Like, Yeah, we pushed them a little bit at times, but really that occurred after. So this was playing on the world stage against the host country, and it was 8 to 10,000 people packed on scaffolding. It was so loud.
Oh, yeah.
Pure chaos. They kicked our ass.
Yep.
I remember it literally, the panic on your guys' face. Pure sheer panic. So I just got close to the sideline. I bent down. I just tried to talk. It's okay, like through the game and through the match, and like bring people together. Yeah. We were all so nervous. But what I didn't know was happening in that game was they were doing the same cheers that are done right now, like Monster Block, Super Spike. And it was loud and it was crazy. And I had no clue. I was focused on our group, on us getting through that game. And then after, I remember the Brazilian fans were so kind. They were cheering for us. They were excited for Canada. So I'm sure it was a little bit different because we were such an underdog then. Yeah. Now they're like, we're not cheering for you. But I remember being so humbled in those moments. Yep. And then later going and watching the next games. And I was like, Ian, it's so loud in here. They're doing these cheers. Why didn't that happen in our game? He's like, where were you? This happened the whole game. And it was just that like blur around you, focus. Yep. And just like after taking a step back, rewatching it, but also feeling it after the game, you were like, wow, we're part of something special. Yep. And then you fast forward to Tokyo and there's no one. So completely different experiences.
Fast forward 5 years.
Now, yeah. And we could go on about the Rio games for a long time. Yeah. We suntanned too much. We were figuring out how to interact with other teams. We were figuring out how to be high performance. Yep. And we're still proud of that. We won our final game. We're proud to represent Canada. And we accomplished, I don't know if we had a set goal on what place we wanted to finish, but we accomplished a huge goal. First sitting volleyball team to go to the Paralympics. But yeah, fast forward to a Tokyo
Games.
Games.
Like obviously hard to look back and be like, we were bad, or like, but we did the best we could for where we were at. And
yeah.
Like
and our program has changed. That's the games that's changed our program.
Yeah.
So after those games, it started to be like, oh, sitting volleyball's on the map. I started to be a little bit more, not full-time, but increase my role, which we added staff around us. We could support the athletes more. That's where we created change with those games, and I wouldn't do it any other way.
Yep.
I mean, maybe I would go back and change a few things, but we had to experience it. We had to see it. We had to be overwhelmed to get to where we are now. Tokyo.
What a time.
What do you remember about Tokyo? That also feels like so long ago, yet it wasn't. This is a triennial, not even a quad.
Is that the right word?
Yeah. 3.
I understand that.
This is only 3 years of a quad, which means
because Tokyo was
tricycle
postponed a year. So Tokyo was in 2021 and it's currently 2024.
Yeah. 2021, we were living in COVID. What was that games like?
Well, I mean, it feels like a miracle we even got there, right? Like just COVID was a time. The qualification for Tokyo was a different game. Also, just a sidebar, we qualified via the Last Chance qualifier, which we hosted in Halifax. Got gold at that tournament. That's the first time we had won games and won a tournament
to qualify.
So that was stressful. Option. Definitely, that was stressful. And 6 months prior to that, we lost the berth in Lima at the Parapan Games in Lima to Brazil, and that was a hard loss. And I think we really reset and refocused well after that, and it just came together. And really excited to play in Canada, but the pressure was definitely on, and I'm really proud of us for that. And then the pandemic
hit like 1 week later.
Yeah. So we came home like on like leap day, like February 29, I think.
So then we had a 5-year, so we had extra time. We couldn't train in Canada as much as some other countries. And then eventually we got a high performance exemption. Yeah. We could train, and I really think we took advantage of that downtime.
Yeah. We trained
downtime.
All at home. We had like virtual camps. We like bought gym equipment, did all the things, watching video, like all the things to keep us together, doing HIIT workouts over Zoom and yoga. I think we had training camp like that September or October maybe for the first time.
Don't ask.
But no clue. It's like some athletes weren't there. I think I didn't see Danielle for like a whole year. That's an example. Like that's
just travel across different provinces and different restrictions.
So then from qualifying to competing, that was about 18 months. Like with COVID, I think it was a good thing to have that extra time. We got extra training opportunity and extra competition opportunity. It was really weird not having fans. That was a really sad thing about Tokyo. And I can't really speak to the postponing of the games in a broad statement because it's so different for every sport. Like a lot of swimming, track, cycling, lots of sports qualify in the summer and in the weeks like right before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that was like affected them differently. The qualification is different for every sport, but for us, I was glad we qualified. The stress was off.
Yeah,
For that, we knew that we were going, postponement or not. So I think when even it was postponed, we're like, we'll see if it even happens. Like then, like it took a while. I don't even know when, if it was like just say spring of 2021. We're like, hopefully it happens. Like I don't remember that, but it was still like COVID then. So
well, I think at that point we knew it was happening, but we were living in these like still in Canada at least these small bubbles.
Yep.
And so we were COVID testing
Yep.
all the time. Some people are like, oh, I've COVID tested 5 times or only when I did this. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've COVID tested over, I don't know, hundreds of times.
Correct.
It's antigen and PCR tests.
Yep.
And then someone would test positive. So they would have to go isolate.
Yep.
Small groups would train.
Yep.
So I think we knew they were happening. We're like, who's coming?
Yep.
Are we going to be able to get there? What's it going to look like?
And what's like the uniform protocol for everybody? Because like every country has different travel protocols. What's Japan's protocol? What's the protocol going to be for the games?
But are we surprised that Japan absolutely crushed it? They were able to host the games. Yep. Everyone was, well, for the most part, everyone was safe. Mm-hmm. The village operated. Yep. Food was good. Buses were on time.
Yep.
Absolutely nailed it. That's the place I want to go during a
we
COVID
said that
games.
before. We're like, if any country can like crush huge games during
Tokyo,
a health pandemic, we're like, it's Japan.
Yeah.
And they did.
And we went to Shiwa prior to those games. So that was the first games that we did a staging camp.
Yep.
So we went 2 weeks prior to the games. We obviously had to isolate within the space that we were in, but we trained and we lifted and we did all of our game prep there. And Shiwa did such an amazing job hosting us. They were incredible.
So cute. We like lived in this little like motel and our rooms were like upstairs. All of us had individual rooms because that's just what it was. Tiny little rooms and great water pressure. Love that shower.
What a small shower.
So small.
Was it accessible?
What, pardon me?
Was it accessible? I think there was a little lip.
There was definitely a step in. Yeah. And like our dining room was downstairs and then like
the gym,
not the lifting gym, but the gym we practiced in was like 10 steps away from the dining hall. Like it was just like the perfection. Yeah. Going to Tokyo, I mean, it was weird. Just everything was weird. Yeah, the playing with no fans was weird, but the like not being able to like meet new people or like really talk to people or like trade pins or be as social was definitely impacted. Yeah, you recognize the other sitting volleyball athletes and you can wave and like say hi from a distance. Like those are people you know, but you don't really get to be social and interact. Mm-hmm. And you might know this better than me, but I think with Tokyo, it was the first games that like after your sport was done, you had to leave after, I believe, 48 hours. Yeah. So I believe that rule is carrying forward for Paris.
There's period of stay windows, and I'm not sure if every country's doing this, but with ours, you can come in at a certain time before you start, and then you have to leave when your competition is done. And I think that's actually a positive thing for the games. I know it takes away from the experience, but as far as making sure people are focused, we're always a sport that goes till the very end, and it always gets very loud. I'm sure people have heard stories about Olympics and Paralympics. It gets very loud, but it'll be a little more focused. And like you say, you weren't able to be as social at the games. It was, for me as a coach, it was, other than the rooms and like not being able to interact as much, it was not different. I just put my head down and work and watch video and don't really interact very much. So,
and that's a great point. When I think about even like, oh, how social was I in Rio? I'm like, trading pins. Like that's like pretty much it, walking around and like talking to people. But a lot of sports, Rio was also not, you didn't have to leave after. So there was a lot more like actually downtime and socializing and lots of people hanging out in the like
there was
like general common areas of the village and a lot more hanging out going on. And that just didn't, I mean, it still happened in Tokyo, different sports, different countries, but every country kind of also had their own individual protocol inside the Tokyo protocol. So it was definitely interesting. But like you said, we really just put our heads down and did what we did, and we were there for business. And
then what happened?
And I don't want to talk about it.
Hattie is trying to skip over the volleyball part of it.
And then we played. First of all, we got our games broadcasted, so that was awesome. Our first game was against Brazil. Our pool was Brazil, Italy, and Japan. Our first game was against Brazil. Classic. Always forever.
Find us at the first game. Somehow we find them.
Yeah.
If they find us, we're not sure.
Exactly. I'm speaking it into existence now. It's going to be the same.
We're likely in a pool with them.
Correct. Yeah. That game was awesome. That's probably the most that we really I would say like literally laid everything out on the court and gave it our all on our. We're happy with, quote unquote, happy with not winning. Like we lost in 5 sets. I don't actually know the score of the last set, like 9.
By 2 points.
That stings a little more. I didn't think it was that close. So, I mean, obviously losing sucks.
The
But
most.
it was a really exciting match, a long match. I think the longest sitting volleyball match of the tournament, and really nice to have broadcasted for our family. Our second game was Italy. We won that game 4-1.
3-1.
Oh my gosh, did I say 4-1? We won that game.
We do not play 5
We won
sets
4 sets. They
just
won 1
because
set.
5 exists. We won that game in 4. Next.
Correct.
Japan.
I scored 34 points. Next.
Throws that out there about herself. Oh, by the way.
Next, Japan. Won that game 3-0.
Good job.
We played China in a semifinal, and we unfortunately lost that game 3-1. 3-0. 3-0. I was thinking about the last time we played them. 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And then we played Brazil.
For bronze.
For bronze.
We don't want to talk about it anymore.
No bueno.
Story over.
Story over. You can look it up yourself, but like we lost, so that sucked.
That was the part when I said earlier, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It truly was. And I think it affected us for a long time after, especially coming home in COVID.
Yep. Each loss hits a little bit different, and each game hits a little different, but that was a big one, and just like at least for me, like a sad one.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some anger attached to that, but I think just like sad.
Yeah,
was it? And then you said going home and being alone.
We were so close, and I think the first game we played them, we were proud. I never like losing, so I was not happy, and not happy for all of you for not having that win, but losing in the bronze, we'd never been there before. They had won bronze at the previous games and had that experience, obviously with some different athletes, but I think the moment got the best of us. We were a bit overwhelmed. We didn't perform to the level that we knew we could. I think we left what we had out there, but looking back, we would all say we had a little bit more. No one believed we would be there though. So that's the big moment from that, is that only the people inside that room and the people who supported us truly thought that we could get to a medal game. So I think we surprised the world with even getting to a bronze medal game. But on the other side of that, I think we let ourselves down.
I would agree.
We wanted to be on the podium so bad. And I remember that feeling in the locker room afterwards and the honest conversation that we had reflecting on that match and the raw emotions. And I just remember feeling like I let the team down and really taking that loss and trying to take all of your pain away, but really taking that loss as far as there was something missing for us to be prepared to show up. Fans or not, but the pressure got the best of us. And that was hard. But we learned from it. We learned so much. Because 3 years later, not even 3 years later, we are so much stronger. We are so much better. And we're so much more prepared to compete and to show up. And we don't know what we're going to show up like in Paris. Mm-hmm. But we have now at 2 bigger games, World Championships and World Cup. And get ready.
And having that, like you just said, having that Tokyo experience behind us, like it's the one thing that you can't replicate in the training environment. Like you don't know it till you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And talk for a long time about how to deal with privilege. We don't want to walk away from privilege. Pressure is a privilege. We don't. Yeah. Did I just say we don't want to walk away from privilege? Oh my god, I'm delirious. We don't want to walk away from pressure. Pressure is a privilege. We want to learn how to thrive in that, and how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And yeah, we can't replicate that. It's a privilege to get those experiences, and winning is really hard, and getting better is really hard. And showing up in those big moments is something that we really want and that we're striving for. And get ready, Paris.
It's why we would do what we do. We didn't sign up for easy. And when you get a chance to go to a Paralympic Games, the whole world is watching. We're looking at you, broadcasters. The whole world is watching.
Can they watch?
And that's exciting. That's what we want. That's where we want to be. It's what I live for. It's what you live for. It's why it's the greatest games that exist.
When life pushes.
Push back. We can't high five yet.
We can.
Mike in the way.
That's her quote.
That's one of my
favorites. That's a Vanity original.
All right, Paris. What is to come? We don't know.
We don't know. I mean, I'm not a future teller. What's the word?
Psychic. Medium. What do we know?
Big things are to come. Well, I mean, we know that as of this moment, our games won't be broadcasted. Our first couple games, if that's what.
Yeah. Word on the street is
But seriously,
Or the Paris Games, there is no improvement from Tokyo.
unacceptable.
Okay, but let's talk about, do you know much
Good.
about the Paris Games in general? I've gone to
I
Paris
know
already and looked at the village
you've
and
been
seen
there
things.
twice.
Yeah. Yeah, twice? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I've been to Paris many times in the past year.
I don't know the correct wording for this, but it's like a green or
Yeah.
like a net zero games,
Mhm.
whatever that means. Examples such as no paper tickets, all electronic.
Originally, no air conditioning in the buildings. Yeah. So they were supposed to use the walls and like different ways to cool down. But now if there's a heat wave, like we would be in big trouble.
Roasting.
So I believe they are adding air conditioning units, but then how are they going to offset that? So it still will be net zero,
Right.
recyclable things,
Yep.
as far as to-go containers, all of that. And I think it's great to show that we can make an impact environmentally through a games. Of
Yep.
course, there's still going to be a footprint left, like the buildings in Paris. Some of them are going to be used
Yep.
from before, and the village is new buildings being built,
Mhm.
but that's definitely something that's a little bit new.
A little bit cool with the opening ceremonies, the Olympics and the
Mhm.
Paralympics being like integrated into the city.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to say the name of the river. This scene
Scene?
question mark.
Help us.
The Olympic opening ceremonies will be on said river. I just laugh when I think about if they chose that for the Paralympics, like getting us all on boats and like.
But is
Wheelchairs
that
and
not
boats.
happening?
No, we are on the. Also don't know how to say it, but the Champs, like by the. I believe that's the road by the Arc de Triomphe. I
Yeah.
don't entirely
It
know
is.
if that's true, but the
Okay.
Champs is like the shopping
Yeah.
street.
I went there. I know.
So
Last time.
not really sure where the fans are going to go, where the peoples are going to go, but
On the sidewalks, on the streets?
I think they're putting bleachers in.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Get your tickets now, but I think they're like 500 euros.
They're very expensive. The opening ceremonies tickets. If anyone has a discount code, our families would love that.
Send it.
Send it.
Comment it. Don't comment it. DM it.
It's top secret. And
Yeah. And for us, what does Paris mean? What's the goal? To win a medal.
yeah, to improve on our performance at the last games.
Yep.
We will be going early again to stage in Val de Roy. I don't know how to say that,
You did really good.
but we already went there before the World Cup, and that community is truly incredible.
Yep.
They hosted us so amazingly, and we only know they're going to improve based on feedback and based on the conversations we've had with them.
Yep.
And then we'll be going to Paris for the Paralympics, not as soon as we have in the past, but a few days before we'll start competing, and we know there's going to be friends and family.
Yep.
And it's an open games, meaning like you can go in and out, you can move around freely. Like that's weird after a COVID games.
Correct. I was like, what's an open game?
It means
It
that,
means we can leave the village.
Yeah.
We can, right.
and we'll probably still barely do even more than what we did in Tokyo because we're
Yeah.
going to have our heads down and
Yep.
be focused,
working.
but it's exciting.
Extremely. Oh, I literally can't wait.
Yeah.
Just the thought of like being like that, even that first like time you get to practice on the comp court, like be on the comp court. I'm just so excited to literally be on that stage. I just can't wait.
It's a games like no other, and I think Paris is going to create change not only in
Yep.
the country of France, because I know the Paralympic movement is a little bit behind what it is in other countries, but I've seen what they're doing for parasport already, for Paralympic sport, and I think it's going to change a nation, but I truly believe that these games are going to change the world.
No.
Show the people and they will come. I can't wait. Were you done?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it, peeps.
That's it about Paris for
Yeah.
sure. The last
That-
question we had was,
Oh,
what's your favorite story from a Paralympic game so far? And I think we've both touched on those already. So my
Yeah.
favorite experience is probably a combo of yours and mine. And I'm only saying this because we briefly chatted about it before, but I would say that first game against Brazil at the Rio Paralympics is my favorite memory.
and I
And
think
yours?
mine is the walking into the opening ceremonies in Rio. That's
I love that.
yeah, a standout.
For sure. So both of us first games, of course. It's just it changes your life. It I don't know. It's you can't replicate that, and I'm so excited because we didn't get to go to an opening ceremonies in Tokyo, and I'm really hoping we can in Paris.
Fingers
We don't
crossed.
know when our first game is, so I really hope we can experience that.
Yeah.
And I hope people can see us on TV and we can wave that Canada flag and we can wear our amazing Lululemon gear.
Woo!
Yeah, it's an incredible experience. We did it.
We did it. We made it. I'm like, it's the end of my notes.
We made it through.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
No. Thanks for taking a seat with me, Heidi.
Do I have to say it back?
No.
Okay.
The big comfy couch.
Like, you called me
pretty
Heidi.
much your
It's
home.
weird. Do we like say each other's names normally?
No. I don't use your name a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I don't know
Did it.
the ending anymore.
Oh, do we do an ending?
Yeah.
Oh, frick.
Yeah, we need to. You're going to have to do some heavy editing.
It's
but yeah.
funny if we leave it like this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I always say this. Thanks for... I don't like this part, but...
You can say, just change it.
No, I like it,
Okay.
but it's like record, like doesn't feel natural.
Well, just say, thanks for taking a seat. Say
Should
whatever.
I look at you?
No, I don't know.
It's still recording. That's good. Thank you, everybody, for taking a seat with us today. We really appreciate it. This is our passion project, and it just means everything to us that you've joined us and that you're listening in, and we hope you learned something, and let us know what else you'd like to see and learn.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. You can follow us on our socials. They will be in the show notes. We appreciate you taking a seat with us today. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot.
Yeah.
And see you next time.
We've high-fived so many
We
times.
have to delete them all. You got to edit them out.